on Spotlight. The Voices of Christmas, celebrating 100 years plus of caroling in our city. Plus, from World's Fair wonder to local mystery, the Ferris wheel story. And then building tiny worlds, the art behind custom model railroad backdrops. But first, taking the pressure off of Santa, healthier ways to handle holiday expectations. It's Sunday, and you're watching the multiple Emmy Award-winning Spotlight.
Here comes Santa Claus right down credit card lane. The name on the card is not actually Santa Claus, of course, because credit card limits aren't that high. The holiday spending that's good for the economy could be bad for parents and families feeling Santa stress.
So when I think about Santa stress, it's that financial hole we so often can put ourselves in. It's also overextending ourselves, whether that's with our time, energy, and effort. It's not being able to say no to all the sense of obligation that we create for ourselves, and we end up in misery.
Molly Dwyer-Simonson is a clinician and regional director of Mercy Outpatient Behavioral Health Programs.
It's oftentimes the busiest season in our emergency rooms for behavioral health patients. A lot of times that's triggered by either overspending, feeling a sense of isolation, being overwhelmed by what they had hoped for this season versus what the reality is.
A new survey from the American Institute of CPAs finds that almost 80% of people plan to use credit cards, with more than half not planning to pay off that debt when due, some carrying holiday debt for up to 6 months. Many Americans are already stretched thin from higher prices on everyday essentials, so the Santa, in many families, has a heavy burden. The pressure to provide gifts, holiday meals, and traditions.
We're holding on to traditions that don't make sense in our current circumstances. What does it look like to start creating new traditions?
Ones that don't cost so much money, reducing anxiety, and creating joy.
So can I have the conversation with my child where maybe we put together a holiday basket for a needy family? And we take those holiday basket. What kind of memory am I creating for my child there? What's the message I'm creating? Is that a gift that, as a mom, maybe serves her better than the latest, newest item at Target or Sephora or wherever? I might say yes.
It's like a chapter from the classic novel Little Women, shown in films.
Not far from here lives a poor young woman, Mrs. Hummel. Her 5 children are in one bed to keep from freezing, and there's nothing to eat. My girls, will you give them your breakfast as a Christmas present?
Incredibly helpful for lifting everyone's spirits.
It may be a story, but Dwyer-Simonson says everyone has a story. Everyone in a family, friend group, or workplace communicating their holiday story with each other. She says that's when holiday expectations change for the better.
And sometimes as you start to talk about that, you can start to reset. This is my story now. Know what your boundaries are going to be. I think sometimes we get stuck in what we think other people are going to think of us, and we make assumptions.
She says parents wearing the Santa hat can have wonderful conversations with their children of all ages and other family members.
You can still give them the magic, but maybe it's not 20 gifts under the tree. Maybe it's their 3 most important things they wanted, or that one big gift that as a family, extended family, we all took part to give that child that magic gift. I think we can also set that tone with our children by saying, here's all the events that we're going to do. And many of those events, especially if it's quality time with a family member, how much does that really cost us?
In the days remaining before December 25th, Dwyer-Simonson says it's never too late to plan and manage holiday stress. And then the financial hangover after ringing in the new year is not what it used to be, or maybe not there at all. But if anyone is experiencing difficulties, anxiety, or depression, Dwyer-Simonson says Help is available 24 hours a day through Mercy Behavioral Health Resources.
To reach out for help early on before you end up kind of at that rock bottom and needing that help at an emergency level.
For more St. Louis stories, subscribe to the HEC YouTube channel, Spotlight STL from HEC Media. They are the sounds of the season, Christmas carols, songs that are known by many, and according to a certain movie,
best way to spread Christmas cheer is singing loud for all to hear.
Singing is the fastest way to spread Christmas cheer.
What we're finding now is that people need to sing, and they need to be in community with one another in ways that maybe they didn't desperately need before.
Elizabeth Hogan, Executive Director of the St. Louis Christmas Carols Association, says singing creates connection and brings about joy.
Music has such power to affect change and bring people together. There's tons of research that backs that up.
And Elizabeth would know. Her group's been bringing the power of music to people all over St. Louis for over 100 years.
The St. Louis Christmas Carols Association has been around in St. Louis for 111 years, and we are equipped to raise money for people in the St. Louis region who need it the most. That's kids in the St. Louis region. So we equip volunteer carolers to go out into the community and go caroling for a great cause. All the money that they collect, we grant back to nonprofits in the St. Louis region who are doing important work with kids.
The St. Louis Christmas Carols Association began in 1911 by William H. Danforth, a well-known name around the St. Louis area.
The Danforth family is very integral to our founding, and William Danforth, the story goes back in the day, went caroling with some of his friends, some businessmen here in St. Louis, and they found as they caroled up and down the streets of Kingsbury Place that people were giving them money, and they thought, well, this is interesting. And in that English tradition of going caroling, they were collecting that money and wondered what they could do with it, and had the idea to start giving that back to kids who needed it. So they began a charitable foundation back then, and it has grown and grown over the past 111 years to be what it is today with the St. Louis Christmas Carols Association.
The Danforth family is still connected to the association.
Dr. Danforth from Washington University was our board chairperson for many years, and as part of that connection, our office is in the West Campus building at Washington University, and Don Danforth III continues to serve as our board chairperson for the past number of years as well. So we really appreciate that connection to the family.
Elizabeth says she likes to think of this group as a matchmaker for people who want to go Christmas caroling. It all starts with a desire to help others.
So there's a lot of ways that people can volunteer with us if they want to get involved. The first of those is that they could just be a person who wants to go out and go caroling. So they could get a group of people together. They could get their friends or their family or a group that they're in, like the Scouts or a church group, and pick a place either in their neighborhood, or they could also go in one of the prearranged public spaces that we have each year. And they'll go caroling with a red canister in their hand and take a collection. And then that collection, we turn around to grants for nonprofits.
Today's costumed carolers are the Kingsbury Place Singers.
They're also volunteers, but they are semi-professional caroling group. They go out into the community in costumes and do public and private events, but they're a special booking and will go caroling for a suggested donation.
From the faces in the audience, it looks like their mission of spreading joy is working.
Just participating in the community events, because you really feel that spirit of Christmas immediately as soon as you come and you're with everybody.
And hearing carolers sing familiar and nostalgic tunes brings a smile to people's face, and I think it's really valuable for bringing people into a joyful and peaceful spirit in the holiday season.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
The St. Louis Christmas Carolers Association will perform their community concert and sing-along on December 11th at the Missouri History Museum. Visit stlchristmascarols.org to donate or for more information.
HEC Media has 6 YouTube channels, including science, history, art, authors, Black History Achievement and Culture, and all things St. Louis. Find your favorite, then scroll down to explore HEC Media's other partner channels, all on YouTube.
History Spotlight, brought to you by HEC Media and the Missouri Historical Society.
Hello, I'm Dr. Jody Sowell, President of the Missouri Historical Society in St. Louis, and this is History Spotlight. The world's first Ferris wheel loomed over St. Louis during the 1904 World's Fair. When the event ended, it was brought down with dynamite. But some say part of it may still be buried in Forest Park. Public historian Amanda Clark tells the story of the rise, fall, and enduring mystery of the Great Wheel.
When the Eiffel Tower was built for the 1889 World's Fair, it set off a competition for the cities hosting fairs in the following years to try and come up with something so iconic. For the 1893 fair in Chicago, a young engineer came up with a great idea, a massive steel structure that would echo the Eiffel Tower's industrial beauty, but his idea would move. The Ferris wheel, 264 feet tall and holding over 1,000 people at a time, was such a success that it moved to St. Louis in 1904 for our World's Fair. As with the 1893 fair, the wheel was a financial success while open, but a burden when the fair closed. And for 18 months, the owners tried to sell the wheel, but the cost of the relocation and the reassembly turned potential buyers like Coney Island and the Forest Park Highlands Amusement Park. They turned him away. So in 1905, the decision was made to scrap Ferris's Great Wheel, and in May of 1906, 100 sticks of dynamite were used to bring it down. Though the wheel was demolished more than 120 years ago, urban legends about what happened to it are still very much alive. In the 1930s, a rumor started that the wheel's giant 74-ton axle was too heavy to move, and it had been buried on site. Over the years, people have tried to find it using everything from shovels to radar imaging. Nothing conclusive has ever been found. In 1943, during a scrap metal drive for World War II, the St. Louis Parks Department authorized that a trench be dug in Forest Park in search of the wheel's axle. The trench was dug along the 9th fairway of the municipal golf course along Skinker Boulevard. A few pieces of metal were found, like a bolt and remnants of the metal support piers, which were still encased in concrete, but there was no evidence of the large axle. In 1999, a local TV channel sponsored an organized effort to locate the buried axle. Infrared testing found a long cylindrical object underneath Skinker Avenue, near the wheel's original location. And during a live TV broadcast, the excavation team found that their efforts had only uncovered an abandoned lead sewer pipe. There have been attempts to find it using radar imaging that were convincing, but inconclusive. That original rumor said that the axle was too big to move, but it had actually been moved twice already. Once when it was taken down in Chicago and moved to Amusement Park, and the second time when it was moved to St. Louis, so there's that. Also, while it was, in 1904, too big to cut up, the metal still had value. We have letters from people that worked with the demolition company that said it sat in their scrapyard in Chicago for years, and once they had the torches to cut it up and sell it, they did. To me, the clearest piece of evidence comes from a recently discovered mention in the newspaper from 1906, saying, quote, "The last of the Ferris wheel has been taken away. The 70-ton axle, which embedded itself deep in the ground when the wheel was dynamited, was pulled from its resting place by means of a huge derrick. It was found necessary to blow off the flanges from the axle with dynamite before it could be loaded on a car." End quote.
To learn more about the Missouri Historical Society, visit mohistory.org. Later on Spotlight, a musical moment filled with holiday cheer.
My husband and I have been model railroaders since we were married in 1981, and we have a great HO layout in the basement of our house. And I did not like taking photos of our layout and seeing an ugly concrete wall of our basement. So my husband and sons put up a thin layer of drywall, and I started painting sky, tree, hills that blended in with the three-dimensional scenery. And I decided I liked doing this enough, and I would be happy to do it for other people.
And now she does. Joanne Cargis draws on her professional experience as an architectural illustrator, creating custom scenery and images.
When a client approaches me and hires me to paint a custom backdrop for them, I take the time to tell them Think about what's important on your layout and in your family history. Maybe it's Grandma and Grandpa's farm or Uncle Harold's hardware store. And what I can do is bring that very personal touch of specific buildings or signage or anything that's special to the homeowner and the model railroader and make it come to life on their walls. On this backdrop, the back was a generic countryside scene with hills and trees and the farm, but these two surfaces were a plaster cloth that was just a very light gray. But he wanted it to look like stone or like a cliff face, so I painted all the detail of rocks and shadows and textures to make this also look more three-dimensional. Sometimes a model railroad project is a collaboration with my husband, Rick. He's a great woodworker. He will build the custom buildings, and then I will take it to the level of painting and doing the detail color on the building.
The end result is always a one-of-a-kind custom backdrop for the model railroader.
I was drawn to trains because my father gave me a train. We put it under the Christmas tree, and then after Christmas we took it down to the basement and set up a train layout down in the basement. The nice thing was that I could share these trains with my brother. My job was to keep them in repair, and my brother's job was to run them. My uncle worked for the American Locomotive Company in Schenectady, New York, and my dad was also a guard for the American Locomotive Company. And then my grandfather was a conductor, so trains have been a part of my family all of my life. There's things from my childhood that I've asked Joanne to incorporate. A picture of my house, the picture of the school I grew up in. And then her husband, Rick, made the General Electric building that is outstanding. And so I was glad when my brother gave me an electric sign that says General Electric and it lights up in sequence. And so it's been a joy to move that train that way, or move that tree, or put that person in. And I've really enjoyed it over the 14 years I've been building this layout. And I'm especially glad for Joanne, who came and did the background, the backdrop, and really brought this to life. So on a day when I have time, I love to come down here and run trains. I come and play trains because it's fun. It's always been fun. It takes me back to my childhood.
My grandfather worked for the Pennsylvania Railroad, and I just got enamored by trains, and I can't remember when I didn't have a model train. Well, this is what is commonly called garden railway, G scale. One of my favorite features is the Bonne Terre Railroad Station Rick and Joanne did for me. And of course, Joanne did all the backdrops here and really tied it all together. This basically is the town of Herculaneum, Missouri. Like the Emporium over there is named for my wife, Wanda. The gas station is named for my dad, Earl. And this building here in front is Neva's boarding house, and that's my mother. And this building right here is Master's Engineering and Surveying. And that's what I did for a living. Joanne and I worked really hard on trying to make the three-dimensional aspects, the road here constructed, blend to the backdrop. And you can hardly see where it transitions from a real 3D model to a painting. When she started, this was all pink styrofoam to begin with, so it's changed a lot over time. Well, I find the hobby very rewarding. This is my space to come down and lose about 5 hours, easily. And there's always something to do. Although it looks like it's done, it's not done.
HEC Media, bringing you culture and community. Find all of HEC's positive programming and award-winning content at hecmedia.org.
In this season of giving thanks, we remember a leader who dedicated his life to lifting others up. Congressman William Lacy Clay organized sit-ins, championed civil rights, and built unity in St. Louis and beyond.
He had a certain magnetism about him. You know, Congressman Clay, he'll live in our minds and hearts forever.
Bill Clay and I hit it off from the very beginning. I loved the man.
He may have been the smartest politician I've ever known.
The congressman, he had an aura about him that made anyone want to commit and listen to what he's saying.
He really stood out, and not just fighting for people here, but the way he networked and built relationships in Washington.
Bill Clay was a champion of the people, and he fought furiously for their interests. In the late 60s, he organized and did a sit-in at Jefferson Bank and Loan because they were violating people's civil rights.
We weren't mistreated in jail. I think that we were in a little bit too long, but other than that, conditions were very good.
He was in the job not for himself, but for them.
He was for civil rights. He was for education. He was for labor. He, during a critical time in the evolution of the conscience of the United States, put St. Louis on the map.
Whenever we were dealing with an issue that was big, Congressman Clay was able to galvanize the community and we'd be united around that particular cause.
Bill Clay was one of the co-founders of the Congressional Black Caucus. It was critical in that time that that organization be set up, and I cannot begin to tell you how many accomplishments they made together on behalf of their constituents. He was seen in Washington as a legend for having put that together. Family and medical leave was a law that said that companies had to give people a certain amount of time for having babies and other needs.
I'd like to now call to the microphone a man who had a lot to do with this legislation, my neighbor, Congressman Bill Clay from Missouri.
Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, distinguished guests, and members of Congress. It's a great day that we stand here celebrating this landmark piece of legislation.
Bill Clay led the fight for the bill and really was the main reason it finally got passed.
He was a go-to person, and he fought for things, and he actually got things done. That, to me, is a powerful example for folks to follow today.
He used to sit on the floor with me and give me advice and counsel on the way the House operated. Who was who, what was what, how you get a bill on the floor, how you get something done. He was my mentor.
Congressman, he was relentless in this fight for equality and access. I'm Dwayne Butler, the current CEO of Betty Jean Kerr People's Health Centers, and my mom was Betty Jean Kerr. My mother felt, because you breathe, you deserve health care. Congressman Clay and my mother and Miss Clay were charged at the hip in that they were focused on bringing services to our community. And what you find now is you have Betty Jean Kerr People's Health Centers. We're serving some 35,000 patients a year. My mother used to say that Congressman Clay Sr. was the wind beneath her wings. It could not have happened without him.
He's going to go down as the foremost political leader in the St. Louis community and in the state of Missouri for the 20th century. You know, he did more that is lasting than any other political leader I can think of.
Just being that consistent, strong, go-to voice for everyday people here in St. Louis. that was an amazing thing.
He was relentless in this fight for equality and access, and he did it in an elegant way.
He was a spectacular representative, loved by all, respected by all.
He will be missed. We love the things that you did. Thank you for the contributions that you made to St. Louis. You'll never be forgotten.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose, Yuletide carols being sung by a choir, and folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe will help to make the seasons bright. Tiny tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight. They know that Santa's on his way. He's loaded lots of toys and goodies on his sleigh, and every mother's child is gonna spy to see if reindeer really know how to fly. And so I'm offering this simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas.
Next week, a story 352 years in the making, the lessons you can learn at the Cathedral Basilica. Plus, the meaning of Hanukkah, lighting hope in the darkest days. Thanks for watching Spotlight. Join us next Sunday at 9:30 a.m. on KPLR 11.